Is stress always bad? Or could it be the key to your child's resilience? As parents, few things are more gut-wrenching than watching your child melt down before school, struggle with sleep, or feel overwhelmed by even the smallest challenges. Maybe it shows up as anxiety, tummy troubles, or emotional outbursts that seem to come out of nowhere. You've likely wondered, is this stress damaging my child's development? Is it affecting their body? You're not alone. And you're right to ask these questions. What might surprise you is not all stress is harmful. In fact, some stress is not only normal, but necessary for your child's brain development, resilience, confidence, and adaptability. The real issue is when stress becomes chronic and your child's nervous system doesn't know how to shut it off. I want you to meet a practice member of ours. His parents describe him as being stuck in a storm of stress. Everyday life felt overwhelming. He struggled with anxiety, focus, motor tics, and sensory overload. They tried everything: counseling, therapy, school accommodations, but nothing creating lasting change. In fact, many of these approaches left him feeling like something was wrong with him. What we found, however, was that there wasn't anything wrong with him. His nervous system was simply stuck in high gear, constantly scanning for danger, unable to rest, regulate, and recover. After beginning neurological focused chiropractic care, his family started to see real changes. Within a few weeks, his tics stopped, his focus improved, and he was able to start new hobbies, finish what he started in terms of tasks, and he even made honor roll. His smiles returned, and so did his confidence. It was so amazing to see that return for that guy. Not all stress is bad, but dysregulation is. So let's break this down. Good stress versus bad stress, and how it often shapes your child's brain through myelin. Not all stress is created equal. In fact, some stress is essential for your child's brain development to be strong, efficient communication pathways. When your child takes on a new challenge, like learning to ride a bike, practicing handwriting, navigating a social conflict, or focusing through a difficult school assignment, their nervous system is doing more than just surviving. It's growing. Here's the science. Each time your child practices a skill or focuses on a task, the brain actually strengthens the neural pathways responsible for that task. To do this, it lays down a protective, insulating layer called myelin. And those neurons, think of myelin as a rubber coating around electrical wires. It helps the brain signals travel faster, clearer, and more efficiently. This process is called myelination. It's one of the most important aspects of brain development during childhood and adolescence. So why does this actually matter? Because when stress is short-term and manageable, we call it an adaptable stress. It challenges your child just enough to trigger growth. More myelin, stronger pathways, better focus, coordination, memory, and emotional regulation. Good stress might look like a soccer game where they have to push themselves physically and mentally. Working through a tough math problem without giving up or coming to you to rescue them. Navigating a disagreement with a friend. Practicing a musical instrument, or learning a new skill set, whether that's a new hobby. Each of these moments is a brain workout. And just like muscles get stronger with resistance, the brain becomes more organized, adaptable, and resilient under the right kind of stress. But this growth only happens when the nervous system is able to go through a full cycle. So face the challenge, mobilize the effort, succeed or recover, and then return to calm. If the brain never gets that recovery phase, that's when good stress turns toxic. That brings us to the next point. So chronic stress, the hidden threat that wears out your child's nervous system. Chronic stress just isn't too much stress on the system. It's stress that never shuts off. If your child's brain and body being stuck in high alert mode all the time without enough movement of rest, regulation, and recovery, this happens when the sympathetic nervous system, the gas pedal, is constantly activated And the parasympathetic, the brake pedal side, can't activate and do its job. The nervous system becomes imbalanced and overstimulating, shifting into a state of dysautonomia, where the communication between the brain, the nervous system, and the body begins to break down. Here's how it starts and why it snowballs. What begins as small stressors like overwhelming, overscheduling, school anxiety, or family tension can slowly build into a storm of signals that overload your child's nervous system. Because kids are still developing, their brains are forming over 1 million new neural connections per second. When this development happens under chronic stress, the wiring becomes rooted in survival mode. And the more time a child spends in a stress-dominant state, the more deeply it gets programmed into their brain and body. So the result is a nervous system that is always on edge. The vagus nerve, the main regulator of the calm, digestion, sleep, emotional connection, and regulation, begins to lose its tone and efficiency. Cortisol and adrenaline are constantly being released, keeping their body in a state of hypervigilance. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for focus, emotional regulation, and decision making, takes a backseat while the amygdala and the fear center and the threat center absolutely takes over. She gets on fire. This leads to what many parents start to see as the domino effect of challenges. Increased emotional reactivity and anxiety. They have trouble falling asleep and actually staying asleep. You will see constipation or gut issues, poor immune function. You're going to have frequent colds, allergies. You're going to see a lot of inflammation. They have difficulty focusing, learning, and also have problems with self-regulation. But the deeper issue isn't behavioral. It's neurological exhaustion. Their system is burned out from running too fast for too long. This is what dysautonomia looks like in real life. A child who can't sit still but is constantly tired. A child who has big emotional reactions but says, I don't know why I feel this way. A child who often gets sick, has tummy aches, or struggles with food sensitivities. A child who wants to do well, but their brain just simply cannot keep up. And because traditional systems only look at the surface signs, they miss what's happening underneath. A nervous system that is absolutely screaming for regulation. So this gets us into the perfect storm and how it starts earlier than most people think. Many kids we care for start experiencing stress before they were even born. Maternal stress is high. A tough birth, NICU stays, or early developmental trauma can actually contribute to what we call the perfect storm. Add in years of screen time, poor sleep, emotional challenges, and it's no wonder kids today are struggling with immune issues, sensory processing difficulties, and emotional dysregulation. This is why addressing the root cause matters more than ever. Our solution, neurologically focused chiropractic care. We don't guess. We actually get scans utilizing the Insight scanning technology to assess your child's nervous system and how it's truly functioning. These scans reveal where the stress has disrupted communication between the brain and the body through your nervous system and how severe that dysregulation is. From there, we deliver gentle, specific chiropractic adjustments to restore balance between the gas pedal and the brake pedal, having proper regulation. This isn't about treating a diagnosis. This is about helping your child's brain, nervous system, and body reconnect, regulate, and thrive. When the nervous system in function improves, parents report that their kids have calmer mornings, more focused learning, better sleep and digestion. They experience far less illness, and a child who is more themselves than ever before. Let's get to the root cause of your child's struggle so we can actually see them get to a space where they're thriving. Let's stop managing symptoms and start restoring the resilience that they have the capacity to achieve. This is about a nervous system regulation, and it's actually about how to improve them adapting to the stress in their environment. We look forward to serving your family at Cultivate.